Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. This is going to be a very, very important live stream, and we're going to have, well, we're seeing the stock market crash that I've been predicting for about 6 months now. About 5 months now, I've been saying we're going to have a devastating stock market crash and a financial crisis because of this crash. Now Elon Musk is saying if history is any guide, not many will make it past the next recession. And then he says, predicting macroeconomics is challenging to say the least. My gut feeling is maybe around spring or summer 2022, but not later than 2023. All right? So 2022, spring or summer, according to Elon Musk, but no later than 2023. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Tell your friends about this channel and the stock market crash channel. And to my super chat, thank you so very much. If you want to talk about this, anything to do with politics, any issue at all via super chat, your support is greatly appreciated. Eric, H526, thank you so very much for being an amazing moderator. Eric has a really awesome channel, a really wonderful gaming channel. If you enjoy video games, he has a great channel. And definitely subscribe to his channel. Ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat again, I can't do this without you. Thank you so very much. Starting it off, Paul Bartlett. Thank you so very much, Paul. As always, so kind of you. Paul Bartlett, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you perhaps what Elon Musk is talking about and what I've been saying. I wrote in the Federalist in October. It's within the pinned comment of this of the upload, and it's within the pinned comment of every one of my segments on H.A. Goodman of close to 200,000 subs. So tell your friends about this channel. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. And the stock market crash channel, I have 2 segments out today. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on the stock market crash channel. Subscribe there. Because of the policies of Democrats and mashed potato brains. Our president, mashed potato brains, is tanking this country in many ways, primarily economically. And that's leading to a whole bunch of problems. Crime, homelessness, soaring. All of these issues have been exacerbated because Democrats, whenever they push for something in the most apoplectic and hysterical manner, the opposite takes place. We have fossil fuels at record highs, even though climate change activists pushed for combating climate change. We have wealth inequality. That is, the gap between rich and poor is greater than ever. Why? Because inflation is running rampant. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Paul, thank you again, Paul. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. I want you to go ahead and ask yourself a couple of questions. Now, this is really interesting right here. Okay? This is really interesting. This is gross domestic product by quarter. Okay? And a recession is 2 quarters of negative growth. So if you look, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just show everybody. If you look, I had it better. Okay, so we obviously, in 2020, we had a terrible, terrible time, okay? The third quarter of 2020, obviously, we rebounded somewhat. And then the fourth quarter, we rebounded somewhat, but not really, okay? Now, the first quarter of 2021, the GDP was pretty good, 6.3%. Then it went to 6.7%. Okay? So you might say, well, we're back. And you had corporate profits at record highs because corporations were charging more for goods and services, primarily due to the $10 trillion pumped into the economy to replicate economic activity after Democrats, media, experts, the smartest people in the room pushed for an end to economic growth. Okay? So if you look, ladies and gentlemen, we went from 6.3, so 4.5% growth, 6.3% GDP in the first quarter of 2021 to 6.7% in the second quarter. Corporations were, like I said, charging a lot more than inflation for goods and services, and consumers, because of stimulus, monetary and fiscal stimulus from the Fed and Congress, had enough money at that point to overlook inflation. Inflation was rising, but it wasn't the issue it is now. Now you have from the second quarter of 2021, so check this out, to the third quarter of 2021, and we're still waiting on fourth quarter numbers, but the third quarter of 2021, you go from 6.7% GDP growth, and it contracts to 2.1% GDP growth. Why did that happen, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, why did that happen? Everyone here, Paul, thank you again. Why did that happen? Luke St. Martin, I apologize. Hello, Luke, Eric, Luke, two best moderators in all of YouTube. The Regulator, Eric H526, and Quick Draw, Luke St. Martin, thank you. So, and Luke, thank you so very much as always. So why did that happen, ladies and gentlemen? In the comment section on the upload, tell me why this happened. We're going to talk about it right now. I have a pretty good idea as to why that took place. We're going to have a recession. And I've been talking about a financial crisis after the stock market since October. I wrote in the Federalist we're going to have a devastating stock market crash. The article's below in the pinned comment. And share that article everywhere. I started a stock market crash channel. I have 2 segments up today. Subscribe there. The link to that will be below. Why did it go from 6.7% economic growth to 2.1% economic growth? Well, inflation, ladies and gentlemen, is a big concern. Inflation is a huge concern. Okay? The reason it went down to 2.1% is that the money pumped into the economy by the Federal Reserve and by Congress was not enough to spur the economic growth needed for a proper rebound, for a normal rebound. One reason is because this was a self-induced wound. One reason is because this is a self-induced wound. We did this to ourselves. So when you end economic activity 2 years ago, and the smartest people in the room, and the wonderful, morally superior, absolutely great, fantastic liberal Democrats in Congress, the authorities and experts, the government officials, all the people that they tell you we need to revere, they said, end economic activity and you won't have to obsess over you know what. End economic activity and you won't have to, and they still obsessed 2 years later over you know what. Okay? They still obsessed over it. They haven't stopped. Liana, exactly. They haven't stopped obsessing over this. And they just simply haven't stopped. And all of the protocols, every single protocol that they push in the most hysterical manner, in the most apoplectic, paranoid, draconian manner, is basically the antithesis of what you would want. The absolute antithesis of what you would want if you were trying to actually have the economy rebound. So they're pushing draconian protocols everywhere, making it difficult for businesses to function. Then you have inflation that's running rampant. Now you have the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, and if they don't raise interest rates, the stock market is going to crash from inflation. When they do raise interest rates, the market is going to crash, and you're seeing it right now. The crash has already started, people. I have been telling you this. I've been telling everyone this for about 5 months now. October, actually, even before October. So September, October, November, December, January. About 5 months. I've been saying obsessively, every single segment, we're going to have a stock market crash. I've been saying, if you are about to retire, if you're about to retire, you have no business being in the market. I've been saying that endlessly. And now Elon Musk, and this was a couple of weeks back, he wrote this, but we're now seeing everything take place. Like, exactly the opposite of what needed to happen happened. We had a president, and by the way, thank you, Paul, as always. Thank you so very much. We have a president, ladies and gentlemen, that, thank you, Liana. We have a president that is being essentially told what to do. I mean, do you think that Mashed Potato Brains has a vision? Do you think he's even aware? Look at this. Look at this article right here. Okay? Look at this article right here. I keep on bringing this up. Someone is betting that oil will soon soar to a record $200 per barrel. Why do you think? Why, if combating climate change was the most important thing, if it was an existential crisis, ladies and gentlemen, if combating climate change was an existential crisis, our existence was at stake, then why is oil at $200 per barrel? I thought we're supposed to decarbonize and jump into renewables yesterday. I thought everyone was supposed to be driving an electric car yesterday. Otherwise, no more planet. Oil is probably oil will go above $100 per barrel, and inflation will continue, because when you have Russia invading Ukraine, and you possibly, I think it's very likely that China invades Taiwan, you have all of these geopolitical nightmares, and like, the world does not respect Mashed Potato Brains. The world respected Trump. That they did. The countries, like, he negotiated the Doha Agreement, and people who are ignorant say, well, he didn't follow through. That's because these imbeciles never read the Doha Agreement and don't understand that it was a May 1st withdrawal date, 2021, May 1st, okay? He would have had to have been in office for that to take place. It was a May 1st. He negotiated the withdrawal. And you have people on the left who are so clueless, and they're so ignorant, and they're so, like, they're so blinded by this groupthink. They don't see that actually Trump was far more of a liberal in many respects than Biden, especially on foreign policy. Okay, he was the first president to step foot in North Korea, to meet between the leaders, to set up a meeting between the leaders of North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in of South Korea said that Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. And You had the Abraham Accords. He did good things, very good things in terms of foreign policy. Now you have Germany's leader, not even Biden apparently wanted to meet with him, and he said, "Nah, I'm busy." So, I mean, but again, why is this taking place? This is taking place because he has no vision. Democrats, they keep on talking about policy. Well, what are the Republicans going to do if they take Congress? What policies are they going to implement? The only policy needed is to ensure that Democrats don't pass any of their absurd legislation or that Biden is held in check. That's the only policy you need. That's the only, and making sure that all the draconian protocols and everything else they've done to mess this country up are erased from history. How about allowing the economy to function again? How about allowing businesses to function? Reducing regulations would be very good. How about if you want to evolve from fossil fuels, you're going to have to ensure that you have enough fossil fuels. Thank you so very much, Eric. Thank you. You're going to ensure you have enough supply so you don't get into a situation where oil is at $200 per barrel. What Biden did initially, immediately what Biden did is made it more difficult to explore and invest in oil and gas, and that limited supply, that limited the supply of, that limited the energy supply and caused prices to increase and go through the roof. And that's the issue, ladies and gentlemen. Every one of the Democratic Party policies, like nobody said, yeah, you know, these things are like, they're good. Oh, you know, pre-K and child tax credit, but nobody said that the economy's not running because the infrastructure, America's infrastructure is broken down. So that's why our economy isn't running. Nobody ever said that. Nobody has ever said that, oh, you know what, the last recession was due to the infrastructure not being where we want it. They weren't even talking about infrastructure. That's why Build Back Better was tanked by Joe Manchin and Sinema. They weren't even talking about infrastructure. They were talking about Medicare for all, part of the grift and the lies and the deceit from everybody, from Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, all of them. Pelosi might not have talked about it, but you have everybody from Nancy Pelosi to Bernie Sanders to all the left-leaning pundits who obsessed over Medicare for all. And yeah, if it was feasible, it would have been great. But not only is it not feasible, and I could be wrong about that, but not only is it not feasible, but they had no intention of ever passing any of it. So they focus on, oh, look at our policies. Well, if you have a headache, you don't bash your head in with a 2x4. That's not a policy you would want to cure a headache. All of their policies make things worse. Tell me how life is better under Biden. Just tell me how life is better. It's not. It's simply not better. But now you have a situation where ladies and gentlemen, where Bernard Sanders, Paul, thank you. Now you have a situation where the market is about to tank. And I've been talking about margin debt for a long time. The market is tanking. The stock market is crashing. We're seeing it right now. I've been telling everybody it's happening under Biden's watch. It's happening under Democrats, and it's because of their policies. They focused on climate change when they shouldn't have, in an obsessive manner. They have all of these targets, and oh yes, we're going to have to slash carbon emissions by 50%. You're not even going to. Not only will you not get there, but you're going to stifle business and make wealth inequality worse with your apoplectic, maniacal obsession. Everything like what Democrats convince themselves, they convince themselves that they're really, really wonderful people who want to save the planet and save the earth and help poor people. They're keeping people poor. They're creating poverty. They've created poverty by um, by ending economic growth. They've created poverty by an obsession with climate change. They created this mess with inflation by pumping $10 trillion into the economy. And every time AOC says we need an eviction moratorium, it's like, well, you prevented people from working. You prevented people from working. They stopped people from working. They stop people from working. They prevent them from getting a paycheck. And then they say, well, we're going to protect you. It's like, well, people wouldn't have needed protection. People wouldn't have needed an eviction moratorium or stimulus if Democrats hadn't pushed to tank the United States economy. But they did that. So their policies are horrendous. All of their policies are horrendous. I mean, that's the issue here. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is the following. It's like, you have margin debt at an all-time high. I mean, you have margin debt at an all-time high. You have derivatives trades that are unregulated. Remember, I'm telling you, just like I told you there would be a stock market crash, we're seeing that now. I've been telling you there's going to be a financial crisis. I'm now saying there's going to be a recession. In large part, Elon Musk is predicting it, so that's a pretty good. I mean, he sold a lot more of Tesla than he needed, billions of dollars more than he needed to, or hundreds of millions to pay for his tax bill. But we have right here, you can see what, $1 billion, $936 billion in margin debt. That's stocks and investments on borrowed money. Herschel Ballard, thank you. Alice, thank you. Herschel Ballard, thank you so very much. Thank you, Herschel. Thank you so very much, Herschel. Greatly appreciated. I hope all is well. So kind of you always, Herschel. So kind of you to support the channel and support my work. Every live stream. It's just, I really thank you very much for that. Thank you, Herschel. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I hope you're having a great day. Derivatives trades on margin. These are contracts where you're betting on price fluctuations. And if the prices drop too quickly, you're going to have hedge funds like Archegos go under. A lot of the debt on Wall Street is not regulated by the SEC because they find creative ways, like the Archegos hedge fund that collapsed. They find creative ways not to disclose the debt. So you have these organizations like FINRA and the SEC that are supposed to regulate and can oversee the stock market and investment banks and all of that. They don't really have access to all the information. It's a cat and mouse game. And anyway, the regulators are former Goldman Sachs and former Merrill Lynch and all of these, like, they're former investment bankers anyway. So they're not really the only time. Look, when Archegos went under, when the too big to fail banks went under in 2008, nobody did anything illegal except, certain people like Bernie Madoff. And there were others, but generally the market collapsed because the system allowed people to create, a situation where you had all of these problems, but they were legal. So you had all of these issues, ladies and gentlemen, where you had all of these issues, ladies and gentlemen, where like too big to fail banks needed bailouts, But all of none of the CEOs were arrested or charged with anything because they didn't technically commit any illegal activity. They were allowed. They got bonuses. They got bailed out. They evaded any criminal repercussions because at the end of the day, they didn't break any rules. They didn't commit any crimes. It's the same system. It's basically the same system. Maybe banks have more cash on hand, but if in 1 week three major banks lost close to $10 billion because of a small hedge fund that went under. So if you look right here, and that was in 2021, that was just less than a year ago, around a year ago now. So imagine what's going to happen. Imagine what's going to happen, people. This thing is going to be either the same as 2008 or worse. Either the same as 2008 or worse. It is going to be a catastrophe, and it'll be because of the Democratic Party, media, and Republicans who are too cowardly, never Trump Republicans who are too cowardly to actually say, well, you know what, maybe this isn't maybe we shouldn't be doing this now. Maybe we shouldn't be ending all economic activity. You ended economic activity and then you said, listen to us and everything will be fine. And nothing was fine now. Literally everything that they advocate in the most hysterical and apoplectic manner is wrong, false. Like the opposite takes place. End economic activity to save people. Nobody was saved. No, because they still obsessed over it. The draconian measures hurt more people economically. You displaced millions of workers. That's why you have a global supply chain breakdown and labor shortages in key industries. The labor shortages at the docks, in transportation. That's why you have all of these problems. You didn't have these problems under Trump. I mean, you could say, well, it happened under Trump, but he was being pushed and he shouldn't have acquiesced. The one criticism of President Trump that you could say is that he allowed them. What President Trump, unfortunately, in his last year in office, they wrestled control of the government away from him. They really did. And he negotiated the Doha Agreement. He still did some great things, foreign policy. But in terms of economic policy and domestic policy, they wrestled control away. And he should never, ever, and I think President Trump is fantastic. I think he's a great one of our best president of my lifetime by far. Just because you had the paranoid, I'll use the word again, apoplectic reaction of Democrats every single day from media wanting to take him down and accuse him of everything. Anything that happened in the universe was Trump's fault. Every single press conference was performance art. Now, every time Biden speaks, you should hear the muffled voices. Mr. President, just a question, Mr. President. The inflation. What do you think of that? Come on, man. Mr. President, what's gonna happen to what's gonna happen if I don't want to bother you. I don't want to ask any questions that might offend you, Mr. President. But what happens if Ukraine invades or Russia invades Ukraine? Come on, man. It's just a minor incursion, man. Come on. And then he says, "Oh, it'll be a minor incursion." It's like, well, that's another way of it's called an invasion. Also, that's another way. And before it was Trump, are you going to apologize? Are you going to apologize for all your lies? You're going to apologize? No, I'm not. No, everybody. It was like Trump was every day a substitute teacher. He was like teaching a middle school every single day. Every single day, the man was teaching a middle school. I mean, they were so disrespectful. They were so angry, and there's so much angst and frustration, and they despised him. And now, of course, I mean, why couldn't he have had that set up? Ivan, hello. Why couldn't he have had that set up? You can hardly hear them. Their voices are muffled now. Before, they were loud, blaring into megaphones. Trump, one person actually said, Trump, I just want to let you know you're going to apologize for all the lies you told. You're going to apologize for all the lies you told, Trump. Huh? You're going to apologize? Was Biden going to apologize for the lies that he told? Notice how the Washington Post fact-checking, the Washington Post, like, well, we're going to stop fact-checking because, Trump lied so much, and Biden doesn't lie as much. He lies as much as President Obama, who didn't lie that much at all. So, they just lie as much as most presidents. No, you could obsessively fact-check anybody. You could do it at home with your wife or your husband. You would end up in divorce, but you could do the same thing. Honey, where's the remote? I think it's in the kitchen. Wrong! Fact check! Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Fact check! The remote was left on top of the TV, or right next to the TV. It wasn't in the kitchen. You're a liar. You can obsessively fact check everyone and everything to create that's what they did with Trump. That's why they obsess over Trump. Their whole lives are predicated upon Trump's personality and trying to take him down. It's like, well, do you enjoy gas prices now? Look at the gas prices. Look at the gas prices. Yes. Look, yeah, this is what happens when you obsess over Trump's personality. 50% more in gas. When they pump their cars, I'm telling you, they say to themselves, I'm paying 50% more in gas price. You know what? It's $75 to pump gas into $65 into my truck, 75, 80, 90. But you know what? At least Trump is not tweeting. I don't need to pay for the kids' braces. I don't need food on the table. What I need is to make sure that Trump doesn't tweet. Okay, energy costs 30% more. Okay, so energy 30% more. Utilities 24% more. Heating bills. I'm paying close to 25% more for my electric bill and my heating bill. But when I wrap myself in a blanket, I say to myself, at least Trump is not tweeting. And at least the republic and the democracy, at least democracy isn't ruined by Trump. Trump. And that's all. They would rather, you understand? Yesterday, a wonderful viewer, Sharon, asked, well, when can we say we told you so? They will never say, they will never accept an I told you so, because anything that happens, Captain Kirk, hello, anything that happens is okay for them. Anything that happens is okay for them. Sharon, remember, anything that happens is okay for them. And it's like anything that takes place, meat 12% more. It's probably more than that. Bacon is like twice as expensive. But they'll say, you know what? You don't need high cholesterol. Why do you need to eat meat? I mean, gasoline. Oh well, I guess you have to buy a Tesla. Used cars and trucks. Well, why do you need a used car and truck? Buy a new Tesla. Energy. They'll say, well, we need to evolve to renewables. I said, well, that's the reason energy's so up, you imbecile, because we don't have the renewables that can replace fossil fuels. Utility. It costs more to heat. Doesn't matter. Trump's not tweeting. Wear a jacket. Wear a jacket. You know what? Would it end your life to just have more covers and more clothing on in your house? If you're not in a parka by the end of the year, by the end of next year, if you're not in your house with a parka, you don't look like you're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in your own house, then they're not going to be happy. They will not be happy. Do you understand? They want to be like with one of those camping sets in Mount Everest in their homes, and they're gonna say, at least Trump is not tweeting. So happy, honey. Is the soup ready? Turnip soup. I got dibs on the last turnip. They don't care. Do you understand? They don't care. They're obsessed with Trump. Their whole lives are Trump. That's it. They don't care. Nothing. ICBMs above. They don't care. They just want Trump. They don't even care. Monique Smith. Monique. Thank you, Monique. Thank you so very, very much. Monique, thank you so much. Red Gal Bad, that's her nickname. Red Gal Bad. Monique, thank you so much. Thank you, Monique. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. And it's thank you, Monique. Thank you so very much. It's like they just Monique, thank you so much. So kind of you. Thank you, Monique. They don't want they would rather have it says a 7% increase. It's not a 7% increase. Okay? Because they're not adding food and energy costs, from what I understand, to the consumer price index. But see, again, if on the furthest left, the edgiest leftists who are like, America is an unfair place, immoral, and these are like the televangelists, and they're the Twitch streamers, and they're millionaires. We have the wealthiest socialists of all time. Monique, thank you again. Thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you. We have the wealthiest socialists. And they'll talk about how, look what Biden's doing to help childhood poverty. His policies the Democratic policies caused poverty to increase. Poverty is going to increase. It increased in 2020 because Democrats pushed to end economic activity. There are other ways to explain it, but we'll just say end economic activity. C. Murph. Yes. C. Murph. Thank you. C. Murph. Thank you. Liana, hello. C. Murph. Monique. Thank you, Monique. C. Murph, thank you so very much. As always, I hope all is well. So, I mean, they don't care. This is C. Murph, Monique, everyone here. They just, Sharon, remember yesterday you asked, when will we be able to say, I told you so. There will never be a time. Look, we have. I mean, you want to, real quick, before we get into the labor shortages, let's look. This is going to be worse. Okay. Okay. This number right here, this number right here, this is going to get down to 20,000. Probably if it's 22 or 21,000 and people are like, you said 20,000, loser, loser. You didn't predict anything. I don't want, by the way, I don't want even the most, ardent, you know, Biden supporter, the most, loyal Democrat. I don't want any Democrat, any Republican, anybody, any socialist, any conservative. I don't want anyone to lose money. I don't want anyone to lose money in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's going to get to 10,000, drop to 10,000. This number will be closer to 20,000. I don't want to say this. I don't like to say this because you know what? You focus on your family, your health. Paul, Monique, everyone here, C. Murph, everyone here. You focus on your family and your health and your happiness. I don't want you to think that every one of my segments are going to be negative, although there's not really much positive in, economic catastrophe, but, everyone here, Paul, Herschel, Monique, C. Murph, everyone here, Eric, H526, Luke St. Martin, everyone here. Focus on your happiness, your health, your family, your life, your future. Your future is going to be bright and happy. The country is going to descend into a very bad time, and then we'll get out of it. Sharon Isaacson! How about you should have listened to us? That is also, that's fine too. The only thing, Sharon, I would say is like Sharon, anyone that thinks Biden is a good president, don't ever talk politics to ever in a million years, ever, no matter the next ice age. Don't talk politics to them on Facebook, and especially not on Facebook or Twitter, ever. Don't talk. They're going to ruin family get-togethers. They're going to ruin Christmas and Thanksgiving. The turkey is there. You're voting for Trump. You like Trump. You're ruining Thanksgiving, and it's a bad holiday anyway. You say, oh my God, you're ruining Trump. They will ruin. It could be at like your anniversary. It's Nana's 100th birthday, everybody. Wait, Nana voted for Trump? Forget this. Throw the table over. Oh my God, he's only, 16 years old. He's doing all of this. It's terrible. It's like a plague. The partisanship is primarily on the cult mentality is primarily on the left. You think I care? This is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life is when friends I've known for like 30 years would text me, I just want to let you know, I oppose you. Well, what do I care? What do I care if you oppose me? I don't care. I don't care what you think about anything. I don't even care what you think about, like, sports. I don't even care about anything I don't. You know what? The only thing I would care about is maybe like, how are you doing? What happened to that? How are you doing? How's everything? They don't, like, a lot of them, have no belief system in anything, and, they're just fine. Christopher Hitchens, one of my, literary heroes, but they're basically, atheists, and, it's just fine, totally fine. But their religion is politics. So I can't be your friend anymore. You like Trump. I can't be your friend anymore. Really? 30 years down the drain because of Orange Man. Wow. That's what friends are for. Anyway, like, exactly, Eric. Well, that's good too. But when religion becomes your when politics becomes your religion, very bad. Sharon, thank you so very much as always. But let's look at like something really interesting here. Now, ongoing shortages could significantly affect the stock market. Well, that's pretty obvious. It's a good. Let's look at this article right here. Okay. Oh, Lord. So you have they keep also saying things like, well, the you know what caused this. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. The you know what didn't cause anything. The you know what didn't cause anything. The you know what was a serious, terrible issue that we had to deal with in a responsible manner. You don't just say, oh, well, you know what? There's a problem with the faucet. So let me take a sledgehammer and bash the faucet in. Odin, thank you so very much. Odin, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Odin. Thank you. Thank you. If you have a faucet that's leaking in your home, do you take a gigantic sledgehammer and bash the whole sink? And then you say, well, it was the leak. It was the faucet. We had to. I mean, well, it was unprecedented. What were we supposed to do? No, you call a plumber or you just try to fix it yourself or you don't do anything that's the democratic viewpoint on everything is, well, we tried to do something. It would have been better off had you done nothing. when when doing nothing is better than doing something, you know that your policies are horrendous. And you understand there's going to be a stock market crash. There is already. We're seeing it. Unfortunately, I don't say this with glee because like I said, I don't want any Democrat or edgy leftist, socialist, communist to lose money in anything, crypto, stocks. I don't want them to lose money. I'm not like them. They want you to suffer if you don't listen to them. And they're the ones who suffer the most. But like it's always whatever happens, whatever they push for, the opposite takes place. The opposite takes place. But I've been saying this for a long time now. Every day, every segment that has nothing to do with economics, I say at the end or the beginning, we're going to have a devastating stock market crash. Subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll have a segment on the Stock Market Crash channel right after this. I named an entire YouTube channel the Stock Market Crash channel. I don't know what more I could have done to tell people, and it's going to be like 2008 or worse, or worse. We'll have a recession. We'll have 2 quarters of negative growth, and they're going to find some way to make it like Odin, thank you so much. Odin, thank you. Thank you so very much, Odin. I hope all is well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Odin. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope all is well. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Odin, thank you so very much. Thank you. 13 reasons that help explain the labor shortage in the U.S. You could just say Democratic policies. But this year, businesses have been reporting difficulty filling open jobs as workers quit at record highs. Workers are quitting at record highs because you displaced. We went from January of 2020, a functioning, growing economy, record lows or close to record lows in unemployment. We didn't have inflation, margin debt through the roof. We didn't have broken global supply chain. And then we went from January to March of that year, and we got 22 million people unemployed. Odin, thank you again. 22 million people unemployed. And they're like bringing up like what these they're bringing up things that have nothing to do. Okay, any systemic. Okay, let's. I come from the left, so I speak leftist. Okay, any systemic issues that are still around after 8 years of President Obama and going on 4 years now of Democrats in Congress are the Democratic Party's fault. If you have a systemic injustice, meaning it's ingrained within the laws of this country or within the institutions of this country, and all you've done is focused on Trump's tax returns or whether he worked with Russia, because you made it up, and he never worked with Russia. He never was installed by the Kremlin. That was an absurd fantasy, literally purchased by the Democratic Party with a Steele dossier and corrupt intel officials who were then kicked out of their respective jobs. If you have, when the Democrats talk about systemic injustices, and there's different ways to talk about it, but what they're saying is, let me talk about something and perform this political sleight of hand, where I can absolve myself of guilt because my policies have helped cause these. Biden, with the crime bill, he wrote portions of the crime bill that caused the systemic injustice. But it's like, again, their whole thing is about public relations. So you can't expect them to actually take ownership of all the horrible things they're doing or they've done. Odin, thank you so very much. Thank you again. Very kind of you. Very kind of you. Thank you. So this article is, it's like, okay, here we go. People want more money. Nah, that's not really why. Workers are questioning if they like their jobs. That's not really why either. Okay, let's just get to. America's labor shortage. Okay, it's a good job shortage. So there are millions of jobs, but a shortage of workers. Economists explain why that's worrying. It's very worrying. Supply chain and disruptions and global labor shortages are now a big problem for businesses around the world. Gee, what did every Western country do? Or not almost every. How about you tanked and ended economic activity? Then you did so for people you did so under the premise of helping people. It didn't work. It did not work. It did not work. You have labor shortages in these key industries. Cramer is hilarious. Cramer is hilarious. Really quickly. Okay, so hold on one second. Jim Cramer. Powell. Hold on one second. Too much good news to ignore. Love it. I love it. Yeah, Jim Cramer. Love it. I did a segment on the stock market crash channel about a month ago saying he's predicting a stock market crash because he thinks everything's going to be great. He's predicting stocks going up. So I said that he single-handedly predicted it because he's actually you have to do the opposite of what this man says a lot of times. So sometimes there's just too much good news to ignore. Here he said that sometimes there's just too much good news to ignore. Yeah. It's fantastic. What could be better? There's nothing better than what's happening now. And just wait, there's more. We'll have a recession and a stock market crash that I've been saying when Cramer was. I mean, I like him, by the way. I think he's fun to watch. Definitely do not do what he says. Don't do it. Don't do what Cramer says. Don't follow his investment advice. Don't do it. But he's wrong. But he's interesting to watch. So I enjoy watching him. Too much good news to ignore. Wow. You mean we're going to have a great year financially? Yeah. Sometimes there's just too much good news to ignore. So he wrote, there are enough healthy trees that it makes sense to do some buying. We see the trees through the forest, so to speak. As it turns out, while the forest was looking pretty terrible, there are enough healthy trees that it makes sense to do something. Meanwhile, mashed potato brains, his campfire is obliterating everything. Come on, man. I just had a little campfire, man. Roasting marshmallows, man. S'mores, man. Who doesn't like the s'mores, man? Come on. Oh, look at all the healthy trees we have now. So healthy. Oh, more Columbo Splendimagus. There were two. Mr. Baldwin, why did you draw a picture of somebody who seemingly is deceased? Why did you draw a picture of a deceased person after you ended the cinematographer's life? I got a quick question to ask you. Why did you draw a picture, a cartoon, of a deceased individual? Lambo, I drew that picture because I'm a madman. Odin, thank you so very much. Odin, thank you so very much. I tried to do a quick little Columbo. I couldn't, I don't know if I got it right, but thank you, Odin. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. Hope you're having a great day. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me tell you something real quick. This is Odin, everybody here. Thank you, Odin. Monique, everybody here. Everybody here. Okay? Cramer has had the best. He is the best. He's the best. He's so positive. He's so positive. Hold on. He toasted Jerome Powell. So great. Jim Cramer praises Fed chief chairman. He's so great. Oh, the Fed chief chairman was so honest with everybody, saying that inflation didn't really exist. Pretty much, he was saying that. Go ahead, have a cow. But I say Powell and Z are bulls. This is hilarious. What? What are you talking about? This is going to be a bear market for a while now. Everything he says is going to be the opposite. Ah, ay ay ay, ay ay ay. What? What is this man? What is he consuming? What kind of narcotics is this man consuming? My hope is that Biden keeps Jay Powell, who has done such a great job. Okay. Oh, this was a while back. Oh, he's such a fantastic. He's been so great. So great. so fantastic. He's been fantastic. Powell's in good shape. Yeah, he's a fantastic. He's great. This is. Let's see. Hold on one second. Jim Cramer says investors should stay the course. Powell, well aware of inflation. Really? I guess he caused it. Hold on, there's some better ones. Jim Cramer, bull market, 2022. Oh, this is a good one. This is a great one. Jim Cramer. Oh my God, this is fantastic. I've never seen anything better than this. Yes. Jim Cramer charts suggest inflation may cool down faster than expected, boosting stocks in 2022. We've won the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. Last second touchdown pass to Plaxico Burress. Yes. Yes. No undefeated season for Brady and the Patriots. Oh my God, Coughlin's 2-0. Eli Manning is 2-0 over Belichick and Brady. We won it. We won every. Cramer charts suggest inflation. What charts were you looking at? Biden's son's drawings? What charts were you looking at when they used to do those experiments on spiders with different narcotics and their spider webs would be all over the place? What charts was this man looking at? Odin, that was the best yet. Great, thank you so very much. Oh, I apologize, I didn't see that. I just want to say, Odin, thank you so very much. I got a quick question to ask you. If you have a choice between listening to Jim Cramer and bashing your head with a 2x4, pick the latter. Odin, thank you so very, very much. Thank you so very much, Odin. Very kind of you. To my super chat, thank you. I cannot thank you enough, everybody. Thanks, Odin. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't see that. Charts suggest inflation may cool down faster than expected, boosting stocks in 2022. We're going to have the worst market in years. Inflation, unfortunately, and I don't want anyone to lose money. I don't care if you're the edgiest socialist making millions on Twitch streaming. I don't care if you're a socialist, a communist, a Bernie supporter, Democrat, Biden supporter, Hillary voter. It doesn't matter. I don't want you to lose money. This is going to be catastrophic for everybody. I've been telling everyone this. Cramer didn't read my Federalist article. I like Cramer, by the way. Here, I'm going to tell you something. I'm enjoying just looking at his predictions and his analysis because it's hilarious. He is amusing to watch. I think that he is, a great personality, but he has something in common with the captain of the Titanic when it comes to forecasts. Cramer, charts suggest inflation may cool down faster than expected. Really? What chart? The labor shortage charts showing labor shortages or global supply chain breakdowns or rising energy costs? Which charts? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? The charts as interpreted by Legendary. Inflation is not going to cool down, even with the interest rates. They're saying that interest rates should have. For inflation to cool down, you'd have to have 6% interest rates, which would collapse. That would cause a depression. That would cause a depression. I have found the holy grail of Cramer forecasts. This live stream will be remembered in history of economics, ladies and gentlemen. We found the holy grail. There might be something better. There might be a better take he has than this, but this is the holy grail. Charts suggest inflation may cool down faster than expected, boosting stocks in 2022 into the depths of you-know-where, boosting them downward, boost down. Usually boost is up. This is down. They will soar downwards. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then, like, the interesting thing is, the people on the left, they don't understand the politics behind this. Odin, thank you so very, very much, Odin. Greatly appreciated. Ebenezer Adams. Remember the bad guy in Poltergeist movies? Mr. Potato Head's doppelganger. That's right. That guy was scary. That guy was scary. I haven't seen Poltergeist in like 40 years, but I still remember how scary that guy was. Yes. Ebenezer Adams. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you, Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Eric, thank you so very much. Thanks, Eric. Odin, thank you so much. Very kind of you, Odin. Greatly appreciated. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. So we found that one. We found that one. So really quickly, so Jim Cramer, 2022 predictions. So, okay. 2022 is the year to invest in companies that actually make money, like these three stocks. All right. All right. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's stop talking about that. So, well, you know what though? Here, this is interesting. CNBC, Powell, inflation. So, buying backs Fed Chair Powell, likely monetary policy. Mashed potato brains will back anything. So they're going to raise interest rates 3 different times. They want to get to over 2% interest rate by 2023. All right. So you look, ladies and gentlemen, and this is actually really important. Okay? It's really important because this is going to I can assure you, very few people on the left, and I spent my whole life up until like 4 years ago on the left. Very few people on the left are looking, especially the socialists and the communists and all that. They're not looking at this chart. They're not looking at these numbers. They don't know what the gross domestic product was for each quarter last year. They don't see if it's going from 6.7% to 2% to 2.1%. If the U.S. economy is contracting or at least not growing as fast during a rebound. Okay? Elon Musk is right. Elon Musk is he told everyone, and actually, like, he is a billionaire that, of all the billionaires, I would say is probably the most honest. Even though I don't think he was probably that honest when it came to selling a stock, because he knows the sky's going to fall. That's why he sold so much stock. Why do you think? Okay, so here. Okay, so Elon Musk sells more shares than necessary to pay current tax bill. Why did he do this? He did this because he knows that everything's going to tank. That's why he did this. He's not stupid. The man is probably, you know, one of the more brilliant billionaires we've had. Um, Elon Musk is selling more Tesla shares than he needs to pay current tax obligations, and experts say he's either converting part of his fortune from stock to cash, or he's saving for larger tax bills that will come due next year. Or he knows that he basically is telling everybody what's taking place. David, hello. Oh, did I miss? I missed something. Did I miss a super? Fred. I'm pretty right of center and loved Hitchens. He never belonged to a tribe, including atheists. Exactly, Fred. Piedemonte. Thank you, Fred. I apologize. I apologize, Fred. Thank you. David, thank you for letting me know. I hope all is well, David. Fred, I agree with you. He was never, that's the thing. Actually, it was an interesting accusation from Noam Chomsky to Christopher Hitchens. Or I think Noam Chomsky, he accused, was it no? Well, no, was it Noam Chomsky, or who was it? Someone accused Christopher Hitchens of having his, oh no, it wasn't, it was Gore Vidal, I think, accused Christopher Hitchens of replacing accused Christopher Hitchens of replacing religion with politics. But that wasn't the case. Yeah, I agree with you. Fred, thank you so very much. I apologize, Fred. I didn't see that. Fred, Piedemonte, thank you. Piedemonte, thank you so very, very much. Christopher Hitchens would be, he would probably be kicked off of Twitter. So that's for sure. He would engage in blasphemy. I mean, if he was controversial or provocative, before he passed away, before like 2011, 2012, they wouldn't allow him to speak. And we need somebody we needed Christopher Hitchens in this day and age, in this world. It's so sad that he's not with us, because he probably wouldn't have liked Trump that much, or he probably wouldn't have been an admirer of Trump, but he probably would say that Trump was better than mashed potato brains, or that he would very likely say that Trump, in many ways, was a lot better of a president than people give him credit for. Like, he wouldn't be, if he disliked Trump, it wouldn't be the obsession people have with disliking Trump. Or who knows what he would have said. I mean, could you imagine Christopher Hitchens spent his entire life trying to teach the world that it's okay to be offended. And now being offended is like the greatest sin on the planet. So it's interesting. What the left has done is their ideas really don't. Many or most of their ideas don't really work out. So what they've done is they've turned their sensibilities into an actual idea. So if you infringe upon their sensibilities, it's like this, egregious sin. But Simon, I agree with you. It's like this is an important chart. Where do you think it goes from here? Let's see. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Let's see here. The conference board forecasts that U.S. real GDP growth will rise to 6% in Q4 versus 2.3%. I'll probably miss that. And this year, the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter probably won't be good. And we're probably going to reach a recession towards the end of the year. I think we will. I think that Elon Musk is right. I don't, you watch. It'll probably miss the 6% number. It might, let's say, it gets to 4%, and they'll say, "Well, it's pretty good." It's like, well, what they did was they ended economic activity, then what they did was they allowed the economy to function. Because they allowed the economy to function, they said, "Wow, this is fantastic. We're back on track." But they didn't do so without, still the draconian policies, all of these problems. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. They say it's going to go back to 6. You know what? We're not going to have anything horrible like this, but 0.5%, 0.5%. Jeez. That's 2012. Um, let's see. Supply chain. Yet another reason the economy will go into a recession. The supply chain breakdown took place because, like I said, you ended economic activity. Is there an end in sight to the supply chain disruption? Oh, Lord. Supply chain woes could worsen. Wow. In China. No, the supply chain. Then you get the New York Times, and this is what they do. They're like, how the supply chain crisis unfolded. Gee, how did it unfold? Let's talk about in detail how all of this took place. It's not difficult. You ended the economy. You shouldn't have. You made a mistake. You made a bad call. You made a bad decision. You have poor decision making, and You tanked the U.S. economy and the global economy because all the experts and authorities and officials told you to do so. That's how it unfolded. Let's see what they say. So here we have the New York Times. It's a public relations firm for the Democratic Party, but you see these people who like suddenly didn't care about politics, but um they read like they look in and they read the New York Times like, oh well, Trump must be really bad, and he must be going to jail soon because like that's what it says in the New York Times. How the supply chain crisis unfolded: ships stuck at sea, warehouses overflowing, trucks without drivers. The highly intricate and interconnected global supply chain is in upheaval with little end in sight. Whose fault is it? Democrats. But they're not going to say that. The turmoil has revealed how the need. In other ways, much of the crisis can be traced to you know what. No. Wrong. The crisis can be traced to your response to you know what. To your response to you know what. So what they do is they say, oh, well, our hands were tied. We had no choice. We had absolutely no choice but to act in the apoplectic manner. We act in the counterproductive and completely irrational manner that that we acted. So, Ricarda, hello. Tammy, hello. Thank you, Ricarda. I appreciate that. Yeah, I wrote 2 novels. Um, Logic of Demons and Breaking the Devil's Heart. And they're actually on my website. If you have Kindle, if you have Amazon, you can go on Amazon, type in H.A. Goodman, Logic of Demons, or H.A. Goodman, Breaking the Devil's Heart. And they're interesting fantasy novels. I think you'll enjoy them. Thank you, Ricarda. Greatly appreciate it. Very kind of you. What happened to global supply chain in 2021? Yeah, these are the smartest people in the room. The smartest people in the room. What's a supply chain? Pent up demand. Why was there pent up demand? Because you shut down economic activity and then, like a light switch, turned on economic activity and said, "Oh yeah, you can have an economy now. We've deemed it okay. We've deemed it appropriate to have an actual economy. We were tired of printing money. We were tired of printing $10 trillion into the economy, so you can actually work now." Shipping costs. Growing cargo wait times. Critical chip shortages. That's true. The policy response. They tube in themselves whenever they hear the word policy. Let's focus on policy. I'm a policy wonk. Oh, did your policy wonkiness cause the stock market crash and recession and wealth inequality to worsen and inflation to go through the roof? Is that what your policy wonkiness led to? Wow, you're so intelligent. Well, at least you're so smart and intelligent and witty and educated. At least that'll make things better when it costs $300 to fuel the car. That I'm sure people will be happier knowing that you're so wonky. The Joe Biden administration has put forth several proposals to address the supply chain disruptions that they caused. This is what they do. It's a racket. They cause problems and then they say, we're going to alleviate these problems with policies, smart policies. Smart policies. These smart policies. We're going to implement these smart policies. Yeah, but you caused the problems. How about you implement some kind of way to make sure you're never in power again? The best policy possible would be to ensure that Democrats never hold, the current Democratic Party never holds Congress again or any real power again. But again, look, they're already blaming the stock market crash on Manchin not voting for Build Back Better. So Build Back Better, even Elon Musk is like, yeah, it's spending money for no reason. It's just going to increase inflation. And the National Association of Manufacturers says 1 million jobs would be lost. Initially, they said that. I mean, it's like the antithesis of what you would need. Nobody ever said, gee, we had this recession in the US because our infrastructure was so bad and breaking down. Whether we have problems with infrastructure, it's true, we do. But every country does, and that's not like that wasn't on top, like the first thing on everyone's mind ever. And so they came up with this. They're like, how can we kind of do something populist? I mean, gosh, if the Trumpers hear infrastructure, maybe they'll like it. Oops. Oh. I mean, Trump was talking about that. Yeah, Trump was talking about that. So was Bernie Sanders, but it wasn't like the central theme of what people were focused on. So you have all of these problems. And then the Wall Street Journal, new study finds unprecedented impact. You know what? There's a new study called pumping gas into your car and going to the grocery store. That you would know that there's a supply chain issue there. The assessment from regional Fed banks mark new attempts by economic policymakers to measure disruptions driven by the pandemic. Okay, so again, what they're always going to do, they're always going to say, well, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. This is the fault of, we had to react. We had to react. It was unprecedented. We had to address what. We had to address what. And if we didn't address what, then, what could we have done? Exactly. You had to respond wisely, not simply respond. What they do is, it's really interesting. Now the whole thing, they know they're going to lose Congress. So their whole thing is, like, so what are your policies? Okay, we have policies. Yeah, your policies stink. Your policies are so bad or they're so uninteresting, or they're not compelling enough even for Joe Manchin or Sinema to vote for. That's why Build Back Better tanked. That's why the Supreme Court also blocked mashed potato brains from what he wanted to do pertaining to what. So what have they done? They had 4 years in Congress. They're going to lose the House, hopefully the Senate also. What have they done? How on earth have they helped this country? In what way? Other than investigate Trump, that's all they've done. They investigated Trump. They investigated Trump Russia. They investigated Trump's tax returns. They investigated Trump's friends. And they investigated. That's all they've done is investigate. Now it's the Trump Republican turn to investigate. That's their policy. Their new policy will be prevent Biden from doing anything, which is an amazing policy in and of itself. If you prevent Biden from tanking the economy further and Democrats from tanking the economy further, that'd be fantastic. And then investigate, which is exactly what Democrats did. That's all they did was investigate. I mean, people are going to, young people, Bitcoin's going to get to 10,000. And I don't want that to happen. But it will happen. And if you look, here's Bitcoin price. 35,000. And I've been saying even before this year, Bitcoin's going to crash. In the past couple of weeks, before January 20th, I was saying Bitcoin's going to get to 10,000. Now you see it's gone from 50. It was at 63. You know what? Around 63, I was saying it was going to crash. And I've been saying for the past month and a half or so, in December, when it was around 57, I said it's going to get to 10,000. And it's my prediction, it's like, again, I don't want people to lose money. I don't want people to lose money. I'm not saying this because I don't have anything against crypto or Bitcoin. It's like, you know, I don't have anything against crypto or Bitcoin. I think that the philosophy behind it is intriguing. I respect people who invest in cryptocurrencies. And I definitely think, it's the wave of the future in many respects. But you're going to see this is going to be tied to the price of Bitcoin, and all cryptocurrencies is going to be tied to the stock market. So it hasn't gone. The last time it was around this point was July of 2021. Now, the last time it went down to 10,000 was August, around July of August. I mean, July of 2020. So around July of 2020, you had Bitcoin at 10,000, around 10,000. And I think you're going to see this just go down. Just like the Dow Jones will be, the Nasdaq, all S&P, everything's going to tank this year. And we're going to have 200 viewers, amazing viewers, 200 plus at some points. It's not really. This live stream has been fun and awesome, and the super chat, thank you so much. If you want to, bring up any topic other than this, also via super chat, that's fantastic. Also, and to my super chat, thank you. It's like we have 200 viewers now. It's not really that interesting of a topic for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't see this yet. They just see a market correction, maybe, if they're even paying attention. And the market's down. They know inflation is up, but the politics and economics will merge this year. People will slowly realize that one party, one ideology has run the country into the ground, run the economy into the ground. You can't they're going to try to blame, not passing Build Back Better. They're going to say, oh, well, what would you have done? Well, we wouldn't have done what you did. Not doing anything at all sometimes is better than engaging in the wrong course of action. They're so interested in exerting power as opposed to doing the right thing. I mean, it's like, so when Bitcoin gets to 10,000, unfortunately, it'll descend to 10,000. And when the Dow Jones gets close to 20,000, and it will, I mean, wow, it hasn't been 20,000 since 2017. Or no, sorry. It hit around 21,000 in April. No, March. 19,000 in March of 2020. It'll get to 20,000 again, maybe even 19,000 again. When you have Bitcoin at 10,000 under Biden's administration, and you have the Dow at 20,000 under mashed potato brains watch, people are going to finally ask simple questions like, gee, maybe, just maybe, this is the fault of one political party. Because right now, people don't realize what's about to happen. And I'm not even like, we know that Russia is going to invade Ukraine. That is going to tank the market. That is going to send oil well over $100 per barrel. Okay? That's going to tank the market. And then they say, well, the sanctions, mashed potato brains, sanctions. Anytime Russia wants, anytime Putin wants, he could decrease the supply of oil and gas to Europe, and the EU is done. 30 to 40% of oil and gas comes from Russia. That's why when you focus obsessively on climate change, you actually bolster any geopolitical rivals, especially Putin. They spend all this time, Putin. Guess what he's doing when the Democrats are in the House, the Senate, the presidency, and now Russia is going to invade Ukraine. I thought that Putin was so frightened of you. I thought he was so frightened. I thought Trump was a puppet. And this is all propaganda. The left's propaganda, Democratic Party's propaganda is so vapid, you'd have to be pretty stupid to believe any of it. But you have smart people believing it because they want to believe something. They can't, they could never look in the mirror and say Trump defeated us. It's impossible for them. They have to say, well, he defeated us because half the country is they're bad people, they're deplorables, they're horrible. It's like, no, he was a good president. Everything he said, he wanted a great economy, we got a great economy. He reversed U.S. foreign policy, we did that. The Doha Agreement was a May 1st withdrawal date in 2021. Then you have imbeciles saying, oh, well, he didn't follow through on it. It's like, well, that was May 1st, 2021. We had mashed potato brains there. He would have had to have won for him to follow through. So, but I mean, look at this. This is nuts. In just 1 month, less than that, a week, about 2,000 points. It dropped 2,000 points in a week. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. In about 2,000 points in a week. So they lost 2,000 points in the Dow in 1 week. Now, imagine if it was 2,000 to 3,000, like March of 2020. Imagine what happens to hedge funds, because in March of 2020, if you look at the chart, and this is important, ladies and gentlemen, look at the chart right here. Look at the chart right there, okay? We didn't have inflation at 7%, really 15%. We didn't have energy prices at over 50% higher, or gasoline prices. We didn't have oil at close to $100 or approaching $100 per barrel. We didn't have global supply chain breakdown, U.S. supply chain breakdown. We didn't have labor shortages in key industries and trucking and shipping and transportation. We didn't have all of these economic Evergrande in China didn't default. Real estate markets here and in China, or especially there, weren't where they are now. So it went down, then it went back up because $10 trillion was pumped into the economy. Well, you're not pumping $10 trillion into the economy anymore. Even with too big to fail banks. Even if they bail out banks, you're still not going to pump $10 trillion into the economy through quantitative easing. And if they don't, this is going to be absolutely nutty. There's going to be a stock market crash and a recession, and if they don't increase interest rates, you'll have they're going to have to either stop they're going to have to either increase interest rates or have inflation continue to spiral upwards, to soar upwards. So if they don't raise interest rates, inflation is going to go through the roof, tank the economy. If there's a stock market crash, well, we're seeing one. There is a stock market crash. It's going to crash a lot further now. The whole thing has begun to collapse. Blizzard of Oz, yes. The whole thing has begun to collapse. So now, now, when the market continues to crash, you have a recession, because we'll have a recession. Does the Fed continue to raise interest rates? How can you raise interest rates during a recession? How can you raise interest rates during a recession? How is that possible? How is that possible, ladies and gentlemen? Right? It's not possible. So what happens? It definitely is like the fall of Rome. So if you don't raise interest rates, because you won't be able to during a recession or a stock market crash, but if they do during a stock market crash, it'll make things worse. But at least they'll try to get a foothold on inflation. If they don't raise interest rates during a market crash, inflation will go through the roof. Through the roof. Then we're not even counting a geopolitical crisis. We're not even counting a geopolitical crisis. Think of the hysteria and the madness of how media treated Trump. Every day was hysterical. Every day was just performance art. Trump was basically ending democracy and the world as we know it every single day with every tweet. And we had record low unemployment. And the economy was functioning. And we had very good foreign policy. Very good. Better than mashed potato brains. And everything they complained about Trump, Biden is doing the same or worse. The same or worse. On every topic. Even topics we like, let's put it this way, topics that we can't talk about in depth on YouTube, same or worse. The difference is that Trump presided over a great economy, fact. Not even on the left, they can't even, and was lessening the gap between rich and poor, or at least alleviating poverty. There was record low unemployment. And you had manufacturing, hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs. So And all the studies that show that Biden's policies are working to help people, they don't count inflation. They don't take into account inflation. I mean, that's the issue. They don't take into account inflation. They don't take into account inflation because they don't want to. It's too like difficult of a concept for people on the left to really get into. Because if they get into if left-leaning pundits start talking about inflation, then they also have to start acknowledging that you just can't throw money at problems. Their whole thing is you see like people on the left that talk about Medicare for all, which is a noble idea. It's not feasible for 320 million Americans. Okay? But they talk about Medicare for all. All they did was investigate Trump. They don't care about any of these policies. They love the policies. What policies do Republicans have? The only policy Republicans need is to block Biden and to investigate their political rivals, just like Democrats investigated Trump. Now, if that's the political system you want, you're the ones who actually commit crimes and get James Comey to cover for you. So, okay, that's the political climate you want. Also, you don't even have functioning primaries. You just cheat Bernie Sanders every single primary. Every primary for the next 100 years. All right, everybody, the revolution has started. And believe me, I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. That's on my website, hagoodman.com. Believe me, like I fell for everything. Every single primary, every single primary, they're gonna be like, um, the revolution, yeah, it's a revolution. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a revolution. Oh yeah. You just wait. You just wait, ladies and gentlemen, until you can't believe this. Right? You've never seen one like I'm gonna. Oh my god. Paul, thank you. But yeah, I mean, they can't. They don't even have functioning primaries, and then they have the audacity to lecture people, as always. They've mastered the art of being hypocrites at the same time, while lecturing while being hypocrites. Nobody lectures and condemns and judges as the greatest hypocrites who've ever lived better than Democrats. But this is only the beginning. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, everybody on Wall Street this weekend, all of those hedge fund, like all of those hedge fund CEOs and the Wall Street traders and investors, they're all saying the sky is falling. So what do you think next week's going to be? And then, God forbid, Russia invades Ukraine. Heaven forbid. Well, that's what's going to happen. Then that'll send oil through the roof. Over $100 per barrel. And then they'll say, well, you know what? All of this is taking place because you didn't pass Build Back Better. And it's like, no, that's nothing to do with that. Um, if you look at Jeremy Grantham, he's fantastic. He is fantastic. All of these, okay, everybody on Wall Street now is looking at what Jeremy Grantham's been saying, and Michael Burry. Here, this is what Michael Burry said this. Um, so Big Short investors back on Twitter, warning of the greatest market bubble in history. And this is the warning he's telling everybody. People always ask me what is going on in the markets. The investor tweeted, "It's simple, greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude." That was a direct result of pumping $10 trillion into the stock market. Now, it could have been, he might have believed the market was also in a bubble, prior to 2020. I think Jeremy Grantham did as well. But the magnitude that he's referring to, I think, is, ending economic activity and pumping $10 trillion into the economy. That's what I think. If you look, ladies and gentlemen, if you look, let's say Jeremy Grantham and Michael Burry are right, and I believe they are. I've been saying the same thing, although they're infinitely more knowledgeable than I am. I wrote in the Federalist last year that the Democratic policies are tanking the country. They're going to lead to a stock market crash, and they're going to lead to a financial crisis. We'll have a recession, unfortunately. But people, read this again. People always ask me what's going on in the markets. It's simple. Greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude. So why wouldn't Bitcoin get to 10,000? Why wouldn't the Dow get back to 20,000? I mean, all of these things, and this is happening. Why? Because you know what? It's going to take until next year for Republicans to actually, Liana, good night. It's going to take until next year, until 2023, for Republicans to be sworn in. The Democrats will lose the House in November of this year, and we're going to do a lot of segments on that, obviously. So this year is going to be very interesting. This year will be a very interesting year. This channel will be, I think, an important channel for a lot of people because I've been saying things that are going to take place, not in terms of not because of any prediction or anything like that, but because we're actually focused on a subject matter that's going to affect everyone's lives. Politics and economics are going to merge. And what Democrats were able to do, what Democrats were able to do is to separate politics from economics and foreign policy. So political allegiance, you didn't need to have a functioning economy, or you didn't you could separate Trump's wonderful economy, because Democrats, the media, what they did was they were very good at ignoring any of his accomplishments, and a great many of his accomplishments were economic. In terms of job creation, in just 1 year, he was approaching, I forgot exactly the number, it was like 400, 500,000 jobs created, something like that, in just 1 year before 2020. Then, I mean, you have disingenuous people who Um, you have disingenuous people who blame Trump for 2020, and it's like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't the one who pushed to end economic activity, and more people lost their lives under mashed potato brains a year after Trump left office. So it's interesting how more people lose their lives. More people lose their lives. And when that happens with Biden, it's like, oh, well, there's no federal solution. There's no federal solution. So, there's no federal solution to it. So it's like, isn't that interesting? How there's no federal solution when Biden is president, but every single thing that happened was the fault of government under Trump. All of 2020 was the fault of government under Trump. You have Michael Burry, Jeremy Grantham, Warren Buffett, you have all these people. You have all these people who were telling you that the sky is falling. You have all these people. And it's like, at the end of the day, people. Carl, I think that could be the case. At the end of the day, people voted to have a recession rather than rather than have to deal with Trump's personality. That's what it was about. That's really what it was about. Look, they were so obsessed with Trump's personality. Like I said, they would much rather have a recession, stock market crash, inflation, labor shortages, supply chain breakdown, instead of listening to Trump. And by the way, who are the experts and government officials, and what political side, and what were the publications and cable stations pushing to end economic activity? Ask yourself that. That's a good question to ask. I mean, when this really goes down, that's a good question to ask. It wasn't Trump, although Trump shouldn't have acquiesced. It wasn't Trump. It wasn't Trump. The people who said, you better listen to us, we know what's good for you, we'll protect you, we'll save you, they brought all of this upon us. I mean, it's going to get really bad. Even if let's say the market goes up this week, which I doubt it. Let's say the market goes up Monday, which I doubt. I mean, you're probably going to have days. The market could go up 500 points Monday. It'll probably go down 500, but let's say the market goes up 500 points. At the end of the week, it'll still be down almost certainly. I mean, it's going to be. I don't see anything positive in terms of the economy, and the reason I don't see anything positive is because you have Democrats running everything. Ebenezer Adams. Ever wonder why? Yeah, that Ebenezer Adams. The propaganda. More should be addressed pertaining to what you just brought up. Ebenezer Adams, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you so very much. Ebenezer, that is, I mean, you see it, like, why is Jimmy Kimmel serving as a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party? Why? Not just because he's this passionate liberal. Why? Is there any escape from politics? Can you, if the Democratic Party doesn't have every single late night show, publication, social media algorithm, they would lose by a landslide. They need everything propping them up. Everything propping them up. They have you can't speak about how many people have been kicked off of Twitter? I don't think when you look, and this is not just the past year and a half. I mean, for years, anyone who disagrees with the prevailing mentality on a number of topics, and you ask yourself, when did Jimmy Kimmel start working for the Democratic Party? When did that happen? His jokes pertaining to when they joke about Trump now, it's not even a joke. It's like a mean-spirited, malicious insult with canned laughter right after. Ebenezer, thank you. Thank you, Ebenezer. Thank you so very much. It's like a mean-spirited, not even really funny joke. It's not oil at $200 per barrel, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm sure it probably won't get there, but that's the thing. You can have oil at $200 per barrel, but they are going to even late night, and Bill Maher is slowly realizing what's going on. He's slowly realizing he was a true believer. He didn't like Trump at all, obviously, but now he's like, wait, we don't have Trump and we have worse problems. Problems are worse. We're worse off now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Eric and Luke, thank you so very, very much. To my super chat, thank you. I will be back probably at around 9:30 or 10 tonight. So be here for the live stream at 9:30 or 10 p.m. tonight. And Eric, Luke, everyone here, thank you. Ebenezer, Money, thank you. Everyone here, thanks so much, everybody. I will see you at around 10 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Pacific tonight. I'll be back. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, everybody.